In this week's Celts in the Caribbean, we're going to be talking about
BBC helping with information in social media articles,
stealing frozen meatballs,
horny pandas,
having your tongue inseminated by a squid,
global condom shortage,
and getting a magnet stuck up your nose in the name of science. All this and more. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to Celts in the Caribbean, Bonair's #1 podcast. Across from me, 6 feet away, I have Yunan.
and Yunan.
And Yunan, and I'm Alan. Hi guys. I think it's been a full 4 weeks since we've been on air, no?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we've been adhering to the government's advice, and we've been in self-isolation for the last 4 weeks. Bonair still has 0 cases, so we've not had our day one yet, and this is April the 10th, so 11th. Yeah. So we're quite lucky in that respect, and it's been I think it's been nearly 3 weeks since the airports and the ports have been closed, so we've not had nobody coming in and out, and Bonair is I think like 80% of our GDP is tourism, so it's been about 3 weeks since that closed down.
Yeah.
So we
just wanted to get back online because, it's
against
seemingly
all
nothing is happening.
Odds.
So,
like, if you'd asked me even a week ago, I'd say 100% it's on Bonair. I think our stats are we've had 30 people tested, no positive results, and it's down to about 50 people in quarantine. There were 116 in quarantine, but
there was quite a lot. So then I suppose the more people that come out of quarantine with no effects, and it's starting to say that there is nothing on the island.
It seems strange. I think it still might rear its head, but it
seems too good to be true.
It does. It's for an island that has cruise ships every day, that's got hundreds of tourists flying in every day from every part of the world. It seems eerily strange that we've not been affected, but we wanted to get back online, and we wanted to give you guys a little bit of not a complete respite from it, because we've already instantly brought it up. You can't completely avoid it, but we don't want to make it belittle it, but we want to
ignore it a little bit,
but also try and find the positives, the funny news stories that have come out of quarantine, and just create a little bit of entertainment so you can spend an hour away from thinking about all the nastiness of it.
It's not a lot of thought process goes into creating a show per week. However, one thing that we are dependent on is news stories, and if we look through the news stories now, we have
it's impossible to
do pretty much anything without having a COVID-19 spin on it. It's pretty ridiculous. We done the last show with Zach, where Zach, our resident scientist, walked us through a lot of baffling information that was in many cases untrue, but we're a few weeks on now, and still we're no further forward with any of it. It's still happening, and
we had a lot of positive feedback from the show. Almost a month ago now. So thank you for that. Well, unfortunately, then not everybody in the world managed to listen to it. So we have had not yet, but we have had a few people getting quite angry at the 5G, which we tried to debunk a little bit.
How funny is that, though,
actually
right?
Came from the UK. Have you seen that 5G mobile masts have been... A few got set on fire.
It's crazy. But in the Liverpool areas and that, where they were just setting things on fire that they thought were 5G, and it turned out like...
To be fair, in Liverpool, it might have just been a coincidence, because they're just going around setting shit on fire, and they're like, "Oh, that was a 5G mast." Oh, I didn't know. I was just,
no rhyme or reason.
Thought I was just randomly setting fire to something.
But we've tried to pull a few stories. I think it's going to be impossible within the episode. Actually, just looking at my notes, it's going to be impossible to talk about anything other than COVID-19, but we tried to at least put a wee bit of onus on some of the funny shit or some of the positive stuff that is actually happening from it. So, do you have anything to take us away for the start of it?
Well, there's been a lot of creativity. So there's a lot of people stuck at home, and if you're not on Netflix, what have you been watching on Netflix? Or otherwise?
Yeah, I was talking to you before about the Tiger King was
Tiger King has been pretty classic.
But
we got through that.
Typically diving into a series, and we're watching Valhalla. I like foreign language TV a lot. So like
Is that Viking?
It's Icelandic, but a lot of like Norwegian and Swedish and stuff, and they give like really good crime dramas. So good that the West or Hollywood then tend to pick it up and put that Hollywood sheen on it and make them their own. But a lot of these series start off in
Nice.
Norse regions. Yeah,
I went back to Band of Brothers on
nice.
HBO. It was one of those ones. It was like 2001, like the Steven Spielberg. I thought I hadn't watched it, but I'm pretty sure I must have watched it.
David Schwimmer at his best.
Yeah, I was like, and the Scottish lads in there as well. The Last
Mel
King
Gibson?
of Scotland. He might make an appearance. Last King of Scotland. He's in the
X-Men and
X-Men.
James McAvoy.
Yes, McAvoy's in there for like half an episode. He gets his head shot off, but no, that's been some feel good. But if you are looking for someone to watch, check out Win the Wilderness. Stick a VPN on, watch it on BBC Two.
What is it?
It's called Win the Wilderness. It's
okay.
A friend of mine's in it, actually. It's a reality TV show where they go out into Alaska, and there's an old law in Alaska where if you can, where you find a plot of land, stick your fucking flag in it or whatever, and you own that parcel of land. And it's like the last people that managed to do it was in the 80s. I don't know if it's probably not a law anymore. You can't just own a land by sticking a flag in it, but they did it in the 80s. They built up this beautiful cabin, but one of the guys, he looks like a pirate. He has like a fucking eye patch on, and their kids don't want to take over this cabin that's like it's 150 miles away from the closest town, so you have to fly into it. So they've made a reality TV show out of it and brought in 6 couples from the UK, and then they're set all these challenges to see if they would survive in the like jumping into freezing cold water and
Love Island Outback style, or like
a little bit
Survivor mode.
I did. So my mate Chris, he's from Scotland. He's on the show. I spoke to him a couple of nights ago, and the season's already out, and I haven't watched the last season yet, and or the last episode yet. And he was like, "Oh, when you watch it, make sure you get your tissues out." And I was like, "Oh, it gets pretty sexy, does it?" And he's like, "Yes."
Nice.
I fuck a moose. No, it's a great show. So if you get a chance, like if you're in the UK, BBC Two, iPlayer. If not,
I'll check
on
it
a
out.
VPN. It's good
Another good one to watch. Everyone's talking about the Tiger King, and I think it was really entertaining. We were just talking about it earlier before we came on here, and but I did think it lagged a lot in the middle, and then came with a really strong finish, and it was really good. But
the first few episodes just
it really
it
pulls you in, right?
Yeah.
So, but I also wonder whether or not it would be such a phenomenon if everyone wasn't fucking quarantined. So
absolutely not.
Exactly. So I have one that was absolutely phenomenal when I watched it, and it was along the same lines of something that you do not think that would ever have happened, but it did. And it's also a Netflix kind of a mini-series documentary, and that was The Legend of Cocaine Island. If you have not seen it, watch it.
I've not watched that one.
It is so good.
I watched the Fire Island. Like it was
Fire,
like, the one where they set up this like yachty kind of like fucking 5-star festival where it was going to be like
where Ja Rule organized it and so on, but
and it just collapsed.
This is very good because it's so unbelievable. A brief synopsis is, and it's not going to ruin it for you, but it starts with a guy combing a beach for turtle nests, finds a huge bale of cocaine, buries the cocaine. He's working on an island here in the Caribbean, and he buried the cocaine. He didn't know what to do with it, and then it like skips forward like however many years, and he's living in Florida in the middle of nowhere, and he's like telling the story around a bonfire.
Yeah, this sounds really familiar. I must have watched the trailer.
It's so good, and it's just how it unfolds as to how much you believe these kind of urban legends. And for this, I'll not say how true it is or what it is, but it goes down the rabbit hole of someone really believing it and setting forth this enormous plan to recover this. I think it was like $2 million in cocaine, and they then go about this mini-series to find the cocaine, dig it up, and how to distribute it. It's fantastic.
I'll have to check
it's
that
really
one out.
good. Yeah.
Have you been watching any Doctor Who?
Nothing.
No. Well, I used to love Doctor Who when I was growing up, but I've not watched any of the since it was regenerated in the last like 5 years or so.
Yeah.
But in the UK, there has been a Dalek spotted that's been going down the streets and telling people to self-isolate. So I don't know enough of it if it's like just a Dalek. Obviously, it's a Dalek costume, but I don't know if somebody's in it or if it's like a remote control Dalek or something. But
I seen it going doing the roundabouts. It's like the Dalek going around the roundabout giving the information to stay in their house.
Yeah, people are getting... Yeah, well, I mean, we want to send out, like, we hope everybody that you know is safe and well, and you're not being affected too much by this. Well, I think everybody's been affected by it. But and we're not making light of the situation. We just want to bring light to you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And one of the random stories that I got today. There's a UK couple. I guess they're filming their neighbor because everybody's fucking bored and everybody's looking out there. I'm doing the same. Like, you know, you get to your curtains and you're like, what's that person up to? You just start making up like situations in your head. But this couple caught their neighbor dressing up as a shrub. So in the UK, I think there's particularly stringent quarantine rules. Like, you're not allowed out in more than 2 people, or
and the police are actually enforcing it, which is the big thing.
Yeah,
right?
You can get up to a £600 fine for your first offence. So it's getting. So this lad dressed up as a shrub, so like just in essentially a ghillie suit, so like, you know, a camouflage suit, and snuck off to the shops in like just as a big green fucking shrub. But he came back and his bag was bright yellow. So he's walking back and he's got a bright yellow bag. But there's been a lot of inventiveness and like a lot of people making like some weird decisions.
Listen, you're gonna go fucking crazy, right? If you don't put a little bit of humor on it too. I mean, you see, we're all on social media at this stage. It's not like there's a few people who aren't here or there on it. It's most people are on social media, and it's and you're coming across these Facebook memes and videos where you see dad going to the pub in a Tyrannosaurus suit, or, you know, it's fun, man. Like, I enjoy watching it because people are like, yeah, let's have the crack, you know, let's have the banter. We're doing fuck all else.
In Australia, I'm seeing like people are getting dressed up to take their bins out. So you get in full costume in order to like just to take your bins out. That's good. And I did see the headline, but I haven't downloaded. I seem to have lost the details. But there's a county in England, or a small village, that at 8 o'clock every night they're mooing,
Yeah.
I misread it. I thought it was. I misread it and thought it was mooning. So I thought at 8 o'clock every
You're
night,
like-
everybody was like sticking their arse up against the
You're
window.
like, sweet, click.
But yeah, for 2 minutes every night at like 8 o'clock, everybody in this village and they're starting making like these like
Horns and
horns and stuff, and they're just literally mooing for 2 minutes, which I think is awesome.
Did you
It's
see
really
the
cool.
pandas that mated after 10 years?
Yeah, it turns out they're not. I guess they don't enjoy people staring
Watching,
at them.
yeah.
No-
What, like, I mean, really, if you boil that down, they're quite normal, right?
Yeah, they're not
for-
voyeurs.
Yeah, exactly.
I struggle if the dogs are in the room. I'm like, get the fuck. If I had like a dozen school kids at the glass, like, and I'm like, go on, make some baby. I'm like, fuck off. I'm not.
Yeah, let me go back to my bamboo.
Yeah. So that's there's a lot of positive stuff coming up. Like, well, for the old environment, and like a lot of the zoos are posting like
The penguins, you seen that with the penguins? What they
there's-
didn't know what to do, so they released the penguins in the other exhibits to see, to
there's-
let them out and about, and they're like walking around, and all the other animals are looking at them like, what the fuck is this?
there's dolphins watching the sloths going,
yeah.
like, what the fuck is this
Yep.
guy? But yeah, they're like the bigger. I mean, everybody's seen the canals of Venice have like cleared up, and fish are coming back, and ducks, and like I think even dolphins in the canals
saw-
of Venice. There's
I
like
saw
in
that-
India, like 60 million eggs were laid by the sea turtles this year.
Yeah,
it's
it's
usually the one where
incredible.
you see the
beach
incredible
full of
beaches and
rubbish,
people right in them and sticking cigarettes in their mouth. And this year they've just been left to their own devices, and that's really cool.
Yeah. What if they came back to just have a quick smoke?
That could be.
How shit would that have been a
I'm
journey?
fucking gasping, mate.
This turtle makes
where's my
1,000-kilometer round trip to come back and have a fucking puff of a cigarette.
They're
He's
just
like,
shaking. They're like,
Where's
I'm
my-
going cold turkey.
"Where's my mate with the fucking with the cigs?" Other stuff that you seen, like endangered animals making comebacks. I wouldn't
Comebacks.
comebacks.
Oh.
Yeah, it's well, some of them have released like some albums that no. So, for example, in Antarctica, there was in this period, there's been 55 blue whale spottings by a British research group in comparison to 2018. At the same period of time, there was one.
Is that because the traffic jams in Antarctica? Are really
Yeah,
There's nobody commuting there anymore.
No, I just think it's fucking awesome.
Actually, even
this
on
is
Bonaire, did you see there was a fucking hammerhead spotted 3 or 4 days ago at Aquatic down south near Alice in Wonderland.
Aquarius?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's amazing,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, how much of this shit has to be down to a pandemic. Probably none of it, but
But it's nice to blame the fucking cruise ships coming in every day with
It
their
is,
fucking
yeah.
the massive motors and all
mean,
that kind of stuff.
when you say
Like,
about
if I was a hammerhead and I heard that shit, I'd be like, I'm doing my shopping elsewhere. I'm going to go down and.
But you
eat
talk
this guy
about
at
Venice and the
Silverfleet.
water quality, that can be maybe directly attributed to huge amount of boats, cruise ships, etc. that pollute so much, and then whenever they're stopped, there is a respite for like that for the water channels. But yeah, I don't know how much that affects blue whales, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's one thing.
There could be an element of coincidence. There could be an element of. I'd imagine if it's anything like that, it'll be military sonars or something
Yeah.
like that stopping.
And another one is the grey wolves in the US. So wolves are pretty much hunted to extinction in the US.
Is there other colors of wolves?
Yeah,
Is
kind
it
of
just
like
are the tartan wolves still doing well? Or
Well, kinda like
the bright
squirrels.
red?
no. Well, so the wolves are pretty much hunted to extinction, and supposedly, and again, this is on like the Positive News Network is where I'm getting this from, because at this time we all need a little bit of positive news, but. You're looking at it, and it says that there's legislation supposed to come through as of November, which is for the reintroduction of grey wolves to Colorado.
You know who a big instigator of that is?
Who?
Tim Ferriss. You
No
heard
way.
him? Yeah,
Yeah.
He's put a lot of money into that. So basically, they're trying to build the corridor. So they're basically they got split up, and there's like a massive gap in the wolves being able to socialize. So they're trying to rebuild that corridor so that the
that's
genetics
fantastic.
like,
Because like the knock-on effect from it is the wolves push the elk for fear of being eaten, so the elk then roam more, which means I suppose one area doesn't just get totally demolished with elk. So like the herds are moving and moving and moving, and then the grey wolves and whatever they hunt and whatever they don't eat becomes scavenge for for birds like eagles and so on. So it's or bears even. So it's like a total knock-on effect. So like the ecosystem could be righted a little bit. You know, I mean we really implement
we've made
everywhere.
definitely a lot of mistakes when it comes to introducing or reintroducing stuff like from the bullfrogs of Australia or like rabbits and foxes, cane toads, yeah. But Tim Ferriss is one of those guys. If he gets involved with something, like he will research it to the point of insanity. So you kind of know that it's probably as theory can go, it's probably a good idea. Because a lot of these things will be like, oh yeah, this sounds like a great idea, and then 5 years down the line, you're like, oh,
it's still not any further forward.
The wolves
right?
have eaten all the.
Oh, you mean in the opposite way?
But
like the introduction of cane toads to Australia.
Now I like to listen to his podcast, and he's a pretty smart guy. Like,
have you seen the one Chinese city? Well, maybe this is of last week, but the one Chinese city that is banning the eating of cats and dogs, and hopefully a few more.
Is it just one city? I saw it and I thought that was a universal.
No, it wasn't. It was like it was one region essentially that was shutting down the sale of cats and dogs for meat.
But why? They're delicious.
Well, that aside, despite the stews that you can make. But I think that is a really positive thing. I mean,
no, for sure. But the thing that like makes me a little cynical is I think we heard that of like, oh, we're gonna make the certain parts of the wet markets illegal, but so much of it was already illegal. Like the what are those little scaly guys called? The
pangolins.
The pangolins. They're like, oh, we're gonna make that.
Pangolins and civets.
It's like, so what? You're gonna make it more illegal? Like, it's already illegal, but it's happening anyway. So like, whether it's the enforcement that makes me.
And as per what Zach was talking about a few weeks ago with us, pangolins and civets were actually major carriers of these diseases like MERS and SARS and so on. So
and we've seen more and more of the stuff where they're getting skeptical of the whether it's the bats or where it's actually originated from. So it's anyway. Okay, here's a fun story. This is from The Guardian, so from a UK newspaper about the Australian astrophysicist Dr. Daniel Reardon. Okay, so this gentleman, he's at home. He's been quarantined, and he is a professor in pulsars and gravitational waves, and he's trying to figure out. It's not a vaccination or anything like that, but he's trying to figure out a way to alert people when they're going to touch their face. So I don't know if you've been I've been in quarantine. I've not been worrying about so you're meant to wash your hands for 20 seconds every hour, and
the average person touches their face something like 30 times every minute or something.
So we've been alerted to we're touching our face a lot, and if you actually think about it, I didn't realize how much I touched my face. So this so Daniel's been trying to figure out a way to give ourselves a little bit of essentially something that gives you an alarm when you get close to your face. So he's been working with magnets. So you have a little bracelet on, and then you put he had some magnets on his earlobes and his nose, and then when your wrist got close to the magnets, it would make an alarm.
What does that do for your fucking health, though? I mean, like, magnets in general are not really good around the brain.
Why is that?
No fucking clue, but like...
I thought all middle-aged women were like...
No clue, but like, when you
magnets
buy
or-
like a heavy-powered magnet, it's like, you know...
I didn't mean all middle-aged women. Gotta be so careful now. Like, sorry for like, you don't all believe in mystical stones. I apologize. Okay. But essentially, so...
Dig yourself out of that one, dickhead.
No, we did start drinking. I hadn't drunk all week, and we had started drinking about 3 hours before this episode, just to, like, catch up on the goss.
Because we literally haven't seen each other in probably a month now, so, yeah.
So what Daniel had done... Right, so I've given you his motivation. He wants to stop people touching their face. You do it subliminally. Subliminally? Fuck. Right, you start to touch your face, it gives you an alarm, you stop. Okay? But... So what he did, he's got 2 strong magnets, one on the outside of the nose and one on the inside.
Oh my god!
And they like stick together. Same on the earlobes. Okay, so you move the wristwatch up. The wrist identifies the magnified field, makes a noise. Okay, that's the theory behind it. Didn't work out for me. Reversed it. Blah blah blah. It doesn't matter too much. So he's removing the magnets, took the ones off his ears, no problem. Took the one on the outside of his ears.
Oh, I saw this.
No problem. But not the ears, sorry. So he took the 2 magnets off the outside of his nostrils. So the 2 magnets on the inside of his nostrils then attracted and shot up his nose. So they're trying to find the smallest area. So they're now stuck like right up his nose. So he freaks out. It's quite painful. Starts trying to use other magnets to like bring them down from outside his nose.
Oh man.
Then starts like he used a pair of pliers.
Oh god.
But he magnetizes the pliers, and apparently his roommate or his partner is like in the medical profession.
A magnetologist.
They're just pissing themselves. It's Australia. They don't they like the banter, and essentially force them to go into hospital. And like, I think half in order to get the magnets out of his nose, and also half so that they can just make fun of them and show everybody in the hospital what he's managed to do. Get these 2 little magnets like fucking stuck up his nose and but his motivations were sound. Just
just like make a necklace that you hang around your neck.
That was his initial plan. But he's an astrophysicist.
So he overthunk it.
He overthunk it, and magnets are not his main source of it's gravitational waves.
So what else are we talking about, mate?
So also coming out of this, we've got I've got a story from Israel here. I don't know if I've had a story from Israel before, but so this gentleman has had a bit of a crisis of conscience. So he is fearing the end of the world, and about 15 years ago, he stole an ancient relic from an archaeological site, and he has returned it to the government of Israel because he thinks he needs to redeem himself.
Yeah.
Because the end of the world's coming. So he stole a 2,000-year-old ballista stone, which is essentially, it looks like a cannonball. It's just a fucking.
But it's like a ballast stone for a ship, or.
It's from something you might. It's basically when the Romans were trying to take over Israel, and they'd use one of these big wooden mechanical slingshots, essentially.
Yeah.
And these slingshots, the ballast stones, against the walls walls of Jerusalem. Yeah. So they were trying to take over Jerusalem.
Okay,
so it was from a land-based. Well, they think this is
like from a trebuchet or something like that.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I mean, this is coming from archaeologists. So
yeah.
This is not from my personal opinion. In my personal opinion, this is what this rock looks like. It might be fun. You're nailing it on the head.
Yeah.
No pun intended. It is Easter after all. But Yeah, so a trebuchet, 2,000 euro. He returned it feeling a little bit guilty that he possibly caused this was his karma, this pandemic, because he stole this rock 15 years ago.
And he thought that this might be attributing to COVID-19, or he was just trying to like make himself better.
Yeah,
So
I think it was more like
if he died, he would go to heaven.
Yeah, I think it was more likely that one.
Okay.
I don't think he caused it through stealing it 15 years ago and was like, oh, this is my karmic retribution. I think he was more like, I need to clear out all the bad things in my closet and get my
How the fuck do you smuggle something that big? Like, surely that's a couple of people, no? Or a wheelbarrow. How do you not see someone with something like that?
No, he was like...
Yeah?
Well, where's he taking it? He might have just been taking it down the road. I think he was...
He had his car
from
backed
Israel.
up to the...
Yeah, he just fucking backed it up.
to the archaeological site.
Nipped into the archaeological
Don't
site.
mind me, lads.
Distracted a couple of people. It's like,
I forgot a cannonball-sized stone in here last week.
He had his ladder with him. You can get in anywhere with a ladder. It's like,
Yeah,
no
high-vis
worries.
jacket. I love it.
Yeah, no bother.
Have you seen that BBC are doing a misleading stories thing per week? And it's really great.
Well, like a social experiment where they're putting out fake news and seeing what the reaction
they
is?
are
or?
going through... they're essentially trolling social media and the stuff that you're seeing that is coming past, and it's like, this just happened due to COVID-19 for whatever reasons. It's like there's multiple of these stories that are coming through now, and many of them are really fake news, right? So fake news always existed before Donald Trump made it a thing.
I thought he invented it.
No, he sure didn't.
Oh, shit.
Lies always existed, and some people are trying to take advantage of the situation to promote sensationalized stories. And the BBC are like researching a lot of these stories now that are coming by on social media, and they have this misleading stories section that they're running once a week. So they do 1 week of stories that you may have come across via Facebook or WhatsApp messages, and I have a couple here, and
they're like fact checking the stories that are
exactly,
going viral.
and it's really good because
isn't that what we did like last month? We were a month ahead of the BBC.
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, a little bit. It's literally.
We should check. Did we copyright that? Have they ripped us off?
But it's really good because there's so much shit that you see per day, and you're like, this makes sense. I think I should probably believe this because it looks like it could be real, and then in the end of it, it's like totally debunked and like happened 15 years ago,
Right.
So for example, 5G. So we covered that like a month ago as part of the conspiracy theory thing, and we talked about it a little bit, how many people believe that 5G is now the cause of COVID-19, as was 1G with something else, like cholera, I think, and then like 3G was like fucking SARS or whatever, like.
And One Direction was the cause of
yeah, for
terrible music
for panty dropping events for 15-year-old girls.
Yeah.
But misleading stories as per the BBC of this week, one of them was 5G, and what a lot of people may have seen on Facebook and that was that Britain pulled their contracts with I can never pronounce the name. It's like Huawei.
Huawei.
Yeah, whatever. I think.
Oh.
Are you all right? Are you gonna die?
Corona. That's just my Four Loko going down the wrong way. Yeah, but I think most of those contracts were being pulled because of security reasons and like national security reasons.
National security, right? So
and now it might give them a different angle in order to get.
So there's these messages now going on Facebook saying that the UK are pulling contracts with Huawei due to COVID-19. And the links between 5G and so on, which is totally false, and they have not pulled the contracts. The contracts still exist, except it's just literally nonsense online telling you this, you know. So it's like exacerbating a problem that is already there with the conspiracy theorists. So that's one thing. Another one was the new £20 note. A lot of the conspiracy theorists have latched onto this and are saying that on the reverse of the £20 note there is a 5G tower. Yeah, no shit. So the actual, the British Mint had to come out and be like, actually, this is Margate Lighthouse, and this is not a 5G tower, I mean, really, like, during this process, you think
so many of the general public, you're just like, I don't have the time to sit down with you and explain how stupid you are.
But my next door neighbor Karen says,
and I don't have the amount of crayons that it'll take to like fucking draw this.
There's another one, CCAS, which is the South East Coast Ambulance Service. They had a false voice recording from a supposed NHS worker saying that further regulations for the UK public were imminent, meaning like your lockdown is now and you think it's shit, but we have even more to come. And also saying that not just sick people, but really healthy people who were completely normal were getting this virus. It's almost like fear-mongering, right? So like this message really kind of fed on the fears of everyone, and then the issue is it's like reposted so many times, and then people believe it, and then you hear it from your mother or your cousin or whatever, and you're like, it's nonsense, you know. And it is nonsense. It's bullshit. I have a few here. My last one, I'm going to go back to a couple more later on, but the last one that I'm going to speak about now was from a couple of weeks ago on the BBC, but it was the rap sing-along in Brooklyn, where supposedly this enormous event of solidarity happened, where from this high-rise there's a video, and there's like thousands of people involved in this, and you can see everyone down below, and it's Biggie Smalls singing Juicy. And this supposed Brooklyn burb was like really getting into Juicy, you know, so everyone is singing it. It was like this mass sing along and everyone's loving it. It's total bullshit. This is how far
was
into
it pre-recorded or something? It happened years ago?
It happened in 2010 at a Jay-Z concert. So the audio that is used in the video is a 2010 Jay-Z concert where everyone had a sing-along to Juicy, and then the video is of Manhattan and not Brooklyn, so they mashed the two of them together and just showed people with the music overlaying it, and
but I guess
the music and the sing-along overlaying it. So it's just, I get it, but it's just bullshit too, right? Like you think, yeah, it's mass solidarity, yeah, we love it, and then it's like, no, it's not real, right?
Yeah, but at least the motivation is
positive, as opposed to the one before where the person is spreading total misinformation to make you angry, you know. But this one is like, yeah, total joy, but it's also bullshit. So I mean, I guess even that is bullshit.
Yeah,
so.
I'm more. I would happily lean towards happy bullshit.
Same. And I would listen to Juicy any fucking day of the week. It's an absolute tune.
I've only got one more coronavirus headline before we start moving. I mean, there's tons of depressing ones, but there's also ones that are just showing the worst of humanity, where people are like getting arrested for coughing on each other, or like licking shopping trolleys. There's one, I'm not going to mention his name because
he might be listening.
He might be listening, and in the spirit of him, he might lick me. No, because these cunts are, excuse my language, these dickheads are doing it in order to get infamy. Like, they're doing
Yeah.
it on TikTok or YouTube or whatever to try and get their name out there. And it's like one of the lads who's a 26-year-old from Missouri. I think he was going around licking things, and he actually got charged as for a terror threat. And then there was another guy that was licking toilet seats, and he
Oh
actually
my
got
God.
corona. So that was like,
Happy days.
yeah, that's quite funny. So that's good.
But how do you ever explain that federal charge in your next job interview? And whenever they're like, have you ever had any skirmishes with the law? And then they're like, well, I do have this one federal prosecution, which was, what was it, sir? Well, I was licking shopping trolleys during the coronavirus outbreak. Okay. Fucking dick.
Yeah. It's not gonna do. I can't think of any job where that would go down well.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you were like an ice cream tester.
Yeah. But so I thought this next story was about Digus Minus, but apparently that's a place name. So this is actually about Michael Knapp. He's a 43-year-old. He just got charged for burglary,
Yeah.
criminal trespassing, theft, and receiving stolen property. And what this poor guy did is his parents were in Florida. I guess this is from the middle of March. So I think the 18th of March. So they're probably like, still down there in fucking Palm Springs or whatever, like avoiding the winter. But all these charges are coming from his parents, because he went into his parents' house while they were down in Florida and took this was 11 o'clock in the morning, so this is no 3 a.m. midnight raid, and took some frozen meatballs and chocolate chips, and his parents have charged him for burglary and all those different things. I don't know what the difference
What?
between both. So he got charged for burglary and theft. So I don't know what the difference between those is. Burglary is maybe like in somebody's house. You can't burglarize somebody that's just walking down the road.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
But this is meatballs and chocolate chips.
And why
like,
would your
so
parents
bur-
take this to court?
Possibly dickheads. But
Man.
so this is PA, so I think that's Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania?
Yeah. But it sounds like
Or
something out
yeah.
of Lord of the Rings. So it's Pennsylvania. It's like Fox Township in Elk County. That sounds like somewhere like from Bilbo Baggins and Fox County in Fox Township in Elk County in Digsmead. So sorry, Michael. I feel for you there. Unless
Yeah.
you've done something really shitty to your parents, and they've looked for an opportunity to like fuck you on
Unless
that.
you
but-
use the meatballs and a slingshot or something.
Yeah, but they weren't even there to see it. So that's my last kind of coronavirus stuff. So let's head over to Yunan. What else are we talking about, mate?
I have a global condom shortage.
Oh shit!
I know. And this was released by like the Phuket Express in Thailand, and it's about the Malaysian industry, which actually turns out that Malaysia is the largest producer of condoms in the world, and due to COVID-19, there is like a total lockdown on manufacturing, and maybe it's
Shit! Surely that you would have thought that was like an essential,
yeah,
like especially in
Yeah,
these
yeah.
quarantine times.
But
I
the,
think
the ships that are used to transport and so on, so like anything that is used to get it away from Malaysia to the customers are now being used as like mobile units for a coronavirus quarantine. So they cannot export it anymore. So there's no more condoms leaving.
and Malaysia is that's the epicenter of condom producing in the world.
According to this article, that it is the largest. It's not the epicenter,
Okay.
but it's the largest producer. And
I mean, you can fit a lot of condoms in a container, I'd imagine.
I mean, these horny backpackers they're having bigger issues than a pandemic right now. I mean,
That's very true.
Thai regions are really risking a lot of chlamydia as we speak. Sorry, I'm so sorry. But it's the truth. And it's funny that it makes the Phuket news, considering the amount of backpackers that are probably stuck there, and they're like, oh my god, there's a condom shortage, and everyone's like, oh my fucking god, I can't get loose tonight.
I know, and all those poor guys that are on Tinder. Like, it's a bad time for like the usage on Tinder.
It's a bad time for everyone.
Yeah, it's a bad time for everybody. Oh shit. So I've got a story that comes from IFL Science. I've got a few stories from that, and one of the things we try to make sure that our stories are legitimate. Now, they're funny headlines, but they're real. Okay, we're not just making shit up. And I've got a few good ones from IFL Science, but if you think IFL is not a real news story, please get in touch, because some of them that I get from there, I'm like, this is borderline nonsense. Yeah. And this is definitely one that I've like kind of heard a few times, and it's been in that urban myth kind of realm.
Yeah.
And I've heard it from, it's been a lobster used as a sexual.
What?
Let me read the headline. Okay,
please.
So a woman's tongue gets inseminated by a squid after eating undercooked seafood. Okay, so on initial thoughts, like that seems like one of those urban myths. Like, I've heard of the one where like somebody's taken like I think it's a lobster, had a bath, and used it as like essentially a
dildo.
A dildo. Yeah, and then there's been like fucking baby lobsters popping out everywhere. But
right.
So this one is from a 63-year-old from South Korea. So there's enough detail here to make it slightly more believable. So 12 small white spindle-shaped bug-like sperm bugs. This is
so.
I want to
sperm bugs. They're the worst.
I want to pause here and say that I wrote this about This was for an episode about 6 weeks ago that we've obviously had a few delays. So I'm going off my notes. It's been a while since I read it, but yeah, I'll read those damn spindle-shaped bug-like sperm bugs. They were embedded in her tongue and her gums. Okay. This is actually an older story, but it's just come up because it's from the 2012 journal. So this is from a journal of parasites. Okay, so it makes it like it makes it sound
like the journal is owned by parasites. Probably true, but yeah.
Yeah. So and what they reckon, it was a Japanese flying squid, and what they do so she'd eaten it. It's like a raw delicacy like sushi or whatever, but what they'd not done is they'd been prepared incorrectly, and they'd not removed the internal organs, and you're meant to flush it with boiled water for a few seconds. That kills everything, kills the bacteria, and allows you to eat it. So she's eaten it, and it's got embedded in her tongue, and it's not baby squid, but it's the actual sperm. So it still looks like it's moving around, so I guess it's quite large.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my god.
That's my story. And then because I like to research my stories. And
yeah, you're so thorough with it. Yeah.
True. So this led on to one from 2011. So. Fucking hell. I've not read this for 6 weeks, so I'm just trying to see what my notes are saying. So this was there's a 21-year-old in Japan that had a similar experience, and because she was eating the sex organs of I can't see what that says. I think it's like a crab.
Let me see.
Crabs. So basically, she's eating something.
Sperm?
and it's the sperm bags from its penis, and
Oh my god.
none of it.
And that
none of
was a
this makes
delicacy, or she accidentally ate it?
None of this makes sense.
Essentially.
Oh man! But some of the stuff is mad. I mean, a lot of it's clickbait, but because of the current situation, I have gone through it, and I've seen a few of the the wet markets that you watch the walk around.
Oh, the walk around is terrible, man. Jesus, you seen the walk around in Wuhan?
It's snakes and dogs and cats and and
the pangolins and civets everywhere and the bats. Oh man, it's fucked up. It's if that's what you want to eat, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever seen a fucking kebab before, guys. It's crazy. I'm gonna go back to a couple of the debunked stories. There was a WhatsApp message that went viral in India, and there was this thing happening in India where they were doing a collective applause amongst the population. So it was like a lot of people getting involved, like millions of people getting involved with this round of applause for 2 minutes.
This is the kind of what happened in the UK for the NHS. So they were doing the round of applause.
Exactly. But according to this message that is circulating via WhatsApp, that the applause from India was so loud due to the amount of people doing it that NASA had heard it from space due to a frequency that was picking up tremors or whatever. It was like there was the vibrations of the clap or whatever, and they were picking it up, and they attributed it to India. And this message that is going around was saying, due to the amount of people and the force of the clapping, it was driving COVID-19 out of India. Now, I don't think it took the BBC to tell me that was bullshit. But however, they had to release it regardless as an absolute nonsense news story. So that is some shit that people are listening to.
I had an entire can of Heinz baked beans for dinner last night with
toast and cheese.
With cheese, no, not with toast, but with cheese and a baked potato. And if
good.
NASA were able to if we're worrying about claps, they would definitely be worrying about my bedroom and my farting last night. And COVID-19, everyone, is now cured because of
we are picking up tremors from Bonaire. It seems like it's flatulence, but I don't believe it.
No.
The last one that I have here is actually from a U.S. scientist called Charles Lieber. And this is... it's also a worrying news story because it seems so fucking real. It seems something that you could read and just be like, holy shit, this is it, and then it goes back to the person who posted it, and you're like, seriously, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why would you try to spread such a misinformation during this period? But Charles Lieber was accused of creating the COVID-19 virus. He's a US scientist. He's I believe he's working in virology, and he was prosecuted in January of this year due to his close links with China. But people have latched on to that and created this whole different story that encompasses it to tell a story that they themselves want everyone else to hear, So he's blamed for creating the virus, selling it to the Chinese for whatever sum, and then the Chinese would have released it. However, Charles was arrested, yes, for his close links to China, but for his business links to China and not giving up any information in relation to what he was working on with China. So it wasn't specific to COVID-19. It was... it was just about his connections, really, So he might have been selling secrets or whatever, in the field that he was working in, but it had absolutely nothing to do with COVID-19. But because of this really close proximity to the issue at hand, this whole news story has come about, and they've had to try and debunk it because it's bullshit.
So did the arrest actually happen, or is the whole thing nonsense?
No, the arrest happened. Yeah, he was prosecuted in 2019, but I think it was more along the lines of like espionage and selling secrets of other sorts, and not like selling.
And it's just another conspiracy.
Yeah, it was just another conspiracy theory where someone was doing business on the short with someone else.
So
and
many
then
of
they
these
were
are coming
pulled up on
out
it,
from
and
like from Bill Gates to like, and he seems to be.
And Jeff Bezos also.
Even like I think Tesla's starting to try and make ventilators, and there's a lot of people doing a lot of good things. But for every good thing that you do, there's somebody like questioning.
Well, for example, with the Bill Gates thing, right? Bill Gates, it came up on my newsfeed like so many times of this like really.
So he's building 7 factories to build different vaccinations.
This I don't know, but it came up that he supposedly wrote this inspirational letter about not giving up and so on.
Okay, yeah,
but it
I've
was
seen
totally
that one. That was from like 2017 or something.
Yeah, but it also wasn't attributed to him. He did not take ownership of the letter. It wasn't him.
Okay.
So it was total bullshit. Yet it was circulating that Bill Gates was sending this out, but also...
Oh, this is maybe something different. I think this is like a TED Talk
There's
thing.
There's literally 2 or maybe 3 now that are circulating about Bill Gates and the coronavirus, and all of them are bullshit. It's about him, like, one is this letter where it's like inspirational, another one is like he wants to blame China for something, and then, you know, and they're nonsense, like. So essentially what I'm trying to get from doing this little piece is like we all rely, like even this evening we were talking about so many instances here on the island about different scenarios that were playing out, and I literally couldn't give you 100% proof answer because
nobody knows.
Yeah, no one knows. We're reading it from Facebook, you know, so
you just got to trust the governments are doing the best that they can. Like it's not like
even at that I think
the heads
it can
of
be
state,
questionable, but yeah.
I mean they're kind of just like you and me. Like we've been pushed with a lot of very difficult. Like I own a guest house that is empty, and it's going to be empty for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Who knows? Like
you're reliant
I've got to
on
make some
info coming from the authorities to tell you that life is going to go back to normal, but no one really knows how life will go back to normal and how long it will take for life to go back to normal. So you kind of like you hang on every thread that everyone is telling you, but at the same time, you know that everyone who is telling you this has never experienced this before, and they also don't know what's happening next. Everyone's feeling their way, right?
Yeah, hindsight's 2020. They don't
100%.
They're making decisions that will go down literally in history. And they're using the information that they have, and they're using their gut feelings, and they're using
logic and information that they're getting from scientists, but
they're not infallible. Nobody's like has some secret fucking formula.
The only person that is infallible was the Pope, and I'm yet to see him give me some shit that I can actually. I mean, there's something to be said for a good mass, like. I mean, I do enjoy a good mass, but
it is lucky that all Christians, not a single Christian has contracted COVID-19. So there is something to be said for that.
Blessings from the Pope. Yeah.
Those Mormons, they're fucked.
Yeah, put your head under your coat and listen to that.
I think the Quakers they don't even know this.
They're still selling their fucking oats.
We're doing so well. The last 30 seconds
Sorry, we just had every fucking demographic to piss them off. I'm so sorry.
Nobody listens to the 59th minute anyway. You're all about a 40-minute listener, so we're good. Yeah, so just from me and Yidden from Bon Air, stay safe, keep smiling. It's a shitty time, but
we're all feeling it.
We're all in this together, and we'll try and get a few more episodes out. We're just here for a bit of entertainment. Like, don't try not take it too seriously, and we'll try and take you away from what's going on for a few hours, for an hour and here to there. So enjoy, and
we'll hopefully see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and if you need to talk, send us a message or whatever.
We'll put it on the podcast.
We'll make fun of you.
We'll make fun of you.
All right. Okay.
All right, lads.
Yeah, take care, guys. All right.
Good night.
Cheers.